Hi everyone in English 1301, it's Dr. E and I'm here with your week 10 instructional video. Obviously, dressing up. I also have nails on, which makes no sense because it's going to be difficult for me to move through everything, but I'm really invested, right? Okay. I'm also working on my laptop. My home computer is giving me some difficulty, which is usually what I use to film, so it looks a little bit different. Just bear with me. So we're going to jump to the module to see, once I find how to use these, okay, to the week 10 module so we can go over what we're doing this week. So you are going to read a chapter from our course text. It's called Evaluating Sources. It's a really important, I feel like, of course, everything we read is really important, right? It's not only pushing us to think about writing and what we do with our writing, utilizing strategies, but also how we are following MLA guidelines, doing research, but also being ethical about that research. And in order to be ethical about the research we use, we have to evaluate those sources, right? We have to kind of dig in and with a critical lens look at the sources that we utilize. Especially in this day and age, we talked and read about misinformation. It just can be really easy to look at something and think, wow, this looks very professional, it looks well researched, but ultimately we still need to, follow a set of steps, to make sure that we are, using reliable sources, we are utilizing sources that are serving a purpose, and that are useful sources to use in academic writing and research, right? So this is a really good, chapter that can walk through some of that. We're then going to take what we learn in that chapter and apply it to Jennifer Aitley's TED Talk video. I want you to remember Jennifer Aitley is actually a source that Amy Choi uses in her article. So if we go back and think about Amy Choi's article, What Americans Can Learn from Other Food Cultures, Jennifer Aitley is one of those sources, right? And some of that information is actually coming from the video that we will watch this week. But we're looking at Lee's video through the lens of, her ideas and her talk as a source, right? For looking at her as a source and evaluating her. So in order to do that and to kind of push us to think about research in this way, we're actually going to complete a worksheet related to her talk. And then, of course, the participation quiz. So if we scroll down, you're watching what will appear here. And the Evaluating Sources worksheet is here. Okay, so you'll want to read the chapter and then watch her TED Talk. And then we have a worksheet that's here. So you're going to download it. If you're still unable to download items, you need to go to the content area, right? Go to the D2L and Tech Help area, open that, and then go to the how-to videos for Google Docs, for slides, for all of that. I've compiled a list of those things just to show you, in a pretty accessible, pretty quick way how to make sure that you are downloading when needed, you are, organizing files, doing all of that good stuff. Okay. So that's, again, in the D2L and Tech Help area. So if we go to our assignment for this week, the Evaluating Sources worksheet, right? Let me see if this opened. Yes. So this is what it looks like. It's in Word format so that you can essentially type here, right? So if you delete this, you're actually going to start typing. So what is the title? Who is the author, the organization, the speaker? So we have a speaker and an organization, right? So I want you to think about, Jennifer Aitley is the speaker, but who is the organization that's hosting this talk? Because that can say a lot about a source, right? If they're being funded from certain political groups, or, if they are being funded for, by the government, it really is going to give us a sense of how to evaluate those sources, knowing who, what, when, where, all that stuff. So you're just going to answer these to the best of your ability. The first few don't need lengthy responses, but as you go deeper, you need to really think critically about what it is, Does the source confirm what you already believe or expose you to new ideas? How would you evaluate the overall credibility, right? So you need to perhaps do a little bit of searching to find out, who is Jennifer Aitley? Why should we trust her? Do we trust her? Is she a credible source? And when I'm talking about a credible source, I'm thinking about art class, right? I'm not looking at a course that's specifically on the history of food, from such and such year to such and such year. I'm asking about the credibility that we're looking for when we're thinking about food and writing from our own perspectives. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of context for that question. So you'll complete this, you'll save the document. When you save the document, make sure that you rename it so you can find it easily, and make sure you're not uploading the template accidentally, and you'll submit that. And then you have a quiz, and the random word for this week's quiz is going to be scissors, because again, it's often the first thing I see when I'm looking around. And it will also be a quiz that covers elements from Jennifer Aitley's talk as well as the chapter reading. So make sure you do all the work beforehand. I do want to note that if you want to get in touch with me, of course, you're welcome to post in the Q&A discussion board area. We can figure out a time to meet, or you can send me an email. I am going to be out of town this Thursday and Friday. I'm taking my computer with me. I will try to check in as often as I'm able, but it may delay me getting back to you, right? Especially since we have an item that is initially due on Thursday. Let me know ahead of time if you have any questions or concerns, or know that it may take me some time to get back to you. So just FYI. I'm also going to try to film and upload everything for next week a little bit ahead of time, because I will be out of town. So don't feel like you have to get ahead, but you may see those things visible. So for those of you who like to work ahead, that's giving you a little bit of extra time. Okay. I also want you to note that I'm going to make every effort in the future to not only have a YouTube link to watch these videos, but to also have a direct link in D2L, so that I know some of you are dual credit students and you may be utilizing Chromebooks and things provided by your school, and oftentimes they block YouTube, even though YouTube can be a great source for a lot of us. But I'll make them available through D2L, so you don't have to directly go to YouTube to view any of that. Okay, so if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. And I am dressed as Winifred from Hocus Pocus this week, so a witch. But again, let me know if you have any questions, reach out to me, and if not, have a great week and good luck.